Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EU League. It's Rogue versus Na'Vi, and we just witnessed our match of the day, Team Empire versus BDS. Despite Empire's best laid plans, they still could not take it against the French. Rogue v Na'Vi is where we head to now. And Fresh, let's talk about Na'Vi for a moment here, because they seem again on the up and up. But after the Mexico Major, I think they realized we need more of that experience, more of that challenge.
Yeah, I think they know that. They know that they had players who it was their first international LAN. Obviously, secretly, probably hadn't been to one for 2 or 3 years as well. As a group, it was their first international LAN together. They learned a lot. They lost a lot of rounds that they should have won. They lost games, ultimately, that they should have won. Therefore, the kind of stage 3 expectations was to consolidate, make another international LAN, make the November Major, and really try and use those experiences to go as far as they can.
And standing in their way is Rogue, who, you know, last week did not have the best of times.
Yeah. I never know what to say about Rogue. It's such a, it's like you're tiptoeing on eggshells when you talk about a team that has had such wonderful highs and then awful lows. That's Rogue at the moment, unfortunately. And we know what kind of dominating stage 1 that they've had before. They just can't seem to translate that later into the year. Maybe the weather isn't, what they're looking for. I don't know what the correlation is, but it is meaning that their relegation fight is very, very likely. I was looking over their points even after some of the games that have happened tonight. And they're currently sitting on 22 points, which means to catch up to Vitality, to get themselves out of the bottom 3, and we were talking about bottom 3 fights before, they would have to accrue like 8 different points, which is like almost 3 regulation wins just to outdo them.
That's with Vitality winning nothing.
Yeah, sorry. Assuming Vitality wins nothing else moving forward. So they are in a really bad position with Heroic and Secret below.
We talked about that kind of freeway fight for the relegation spots. Rogue are kind of fortunate that they're at the top of those 3 teams. They've got the best opportunity to get out of it. And also Secret having losing today, and let's be fair, they don't look like they're going to be winning anytime soon as well. Ooh. They just need to hope. Rogue are more hoping for the other teams to lose. But Rogue have got the quality. They won the first couple of games despite the bad performance last week.
All right, let's talk about some players for this one, our head-to-head. So what did you guys select? Let's put it up on the screen. Who are the 2? It's Aces and Doki. I think, and I'll try to understand this, these are 2 players that people understand being the entries and the big fraggers for their teams, or what is the point here?
Doki, yes. He's the space maker. He's the entry. That is his job by far. Aces, however, will play, especially on attack, he'll play more flex support depending on the hard breach requirements of the map. But Doki, the reason we have to put him up there, and the only other player that really even gets close to his ratings, Doki's the highest rated player currently inside of all of EUL, which means he is sitting on that top dog spot very comfortably as well. There's actually only a trail of which I will have to recalculate after today's games, but only Dan sat behind him, and it wasn't that much of a close competition. So Doki is well and above the best player in EUL. He has the highest KD as well, and the person that trails behind him in KD is Benjamaster. So Aces, when I say he's trailing by quite a lot, but he is the highest rated player for Rogue.
Yeah, Aces has a lot of freedom on his team, especially now Prano's coming in to be that kind of IGL. It gives him the freedom. Hopefully he can kind of increase that, but Doki has been that player that is talked about in every league. Like, I cast him in UKIN, and all we did every Playday when we talked about Na'Vi was talk about Doki and just how many kills he got, how impactful he was, and just how much of an asset he is to his team. And he's translating that through to EUL. The next step is obviously, let's do that internationally at a LAN.
Do you remember how impressive Aces used to be as a gunner?
Yes.
I'm glad you all echoed that.
Honestly,
he can get back to that.
If any team could have sniped him to bring him over, they would have, and that's 2 years ago now.
That's how good he was. He was scary. In fact, it was a joke that he would have a USB. This is his brand. He would have a USB where he'd plug in his hacks because he was that incredibly good. So we always used to joke about that. But the biggest thing was I got a glimpse of that. I don't know if you guys spotted it on Clubhouse. He stood inside bathroom with the SMG-11 in the past game, and I went, oh, that's old Aces. There he is. And I've never gasped like that before in a game. You know, we watched so many games in a week, and I went, oh God, this is old Aces. And my heart flooded, and I was like, I love this. So maybe, just maybe, old Aces is coming back now Prano's in.
We know he's got that quality to get back to that.
Yes.
You talk about when he used to be that insane fragger. Him and Uno used to be on the same team.
Right.
Long time ago.
Yep.
That was Le Stream days, right?
Oh,
that was Le Stream, and back then it was still, that was my opinion, it turned out to be correct. in that case at least, that Uno was just, they just didn't fit.
Correct.
And he fit much better on G2 once ended up being there in your days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot to expect here, though. Let's see which map we're going to play on in this series. A lot for Rogue to do today. They're going to need to do it on Villa. Highly technical and tactical map for them to go to. They're going to have to start on the attack with Na'Vi on defense. Our lobby is ready. So, Jess, your final thoughts?
I don't have anything on Rogue on this map in the recent past. We do have a little bit on Na'Vi, though.
Na'Vi is a very middle preference map. I think it's about their fourth preference. Rogue, I'm wondering if this is a counter strategy type vibe from them because we don't have a lot on them. It seems very low in their map preference normally.
Mind you, when they went up against SSG, this is Na'Vi, they did pretty well on a really strong Villa from SSG. So I was really happy by that, even though they lost by 2 rounds. So
I'm excited.
We'll see. We'll see if it pays dividends.
This is Villa. Again, very technical map. There's a lot here to watch out for. And Na'Vi, given how they're playing, Rogue might have a very high uphill battle here to face. But let's see if they can outdo Na'Vi. Would have upsets, quite a few of them over the past week. So Fresh Test, thank you so very much. It's Rogue Na'Vi again. We go to Tuscany, and it's Villa with, of course, Stes and Ace. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. I feel like I can roll that line out now after being salty about it in the former game. Villa for game number 4 of the day. And whenever I think of Rogue coming up against Na'Vi, there are 2 players' names that jump to mind, Ace. Doki and Leon. It's one of those old classical showdowns. We used to see Eminem against Secret back in the old day. It's followed us all the way from there.
El Clasico, you might call it.
And El Clasico is exactly what I'd call it, Ace.
Well, hopefully this is going to be a classic game between Rogue and Na'Vi. On the face of things coming in, you could be forgiven for thinking that this could potentially turn out a little bit of a one-sided affair, but Na'Vi, let's not forget, have been a little bit up and down recently. We get the great performance and then we get the frustration. We'll see if they can keep up with that great form that they showed us in the last Playday this time around, or whether Rogue can play spoiler to the plans.
Some big plans to play spoiler 2, as you saw from the social vote, and understandably, all of us behind the scenes here are thinking that this should be a Na'Vi game. Rogue have looked good at points. A map that I've always bigged them up on has been Chalet. I will stand by. They really could have won that game against G2 last stage, if not for 2 rounds that, well, Aces whiffed a key shot on, the man they were talking about on the desk. Plus another round that they lost out a 1v2 to an Alder. So we know that they can play well. We know they can deliver, and Prano has given them that new lease of life. It's still 2 wins in 5 games, as you can see in the top left corner of your screen. We'll keep a close eye on what changes come through. Bans rifling through very quickly. The one key one to look at there is going to be the Flores ban coming out of Na'Vi. We've heard Alem say countless times, well, not really say, he said it once, and we've repeated it countless times. Ace is the best way to describe it. How impactful he can be. We saw it used a lot during G2 versus Virtus Pro on Cafe earlier on. So truthfully, not all surprised to see it taken away.
Headed into Aviator Games as our first site, and it's an interesting topic, his site choice on Villades. We've touched on it a couple of times recently in that
Dining Kitchen gang me.
We're starting to see a little bit of a shift, and it's a slow change, but it is happening. It's been going on for a while, really, and when Villa first came in, Villa is a big map. You got to remember that. Villa is a very, very big map, and it first came in, Aviator Games, Trophy Statuary, primary 2 sites, and nobody ever really touched the downstairs too much. But as the attackers have got more and more accustomed to these top floor sites, defenders have started to look elsewhere, and they've started to find that actually these downstairs sites are pretty viable, generally speaking. One of the philosophies I think on Villa is that there are no external windows or entrances directly into sites. So even downstairs, there's still pretty viable. You're not having to worry about window play, and it's down to the defenders to sort of funnel the attackers and try to, you know, dictate where they're going to push from. So we are seeing the downstairs used more and more often. Here today, though, Na'Vi, they're going to take us nice and stock standard to AVG to start us off.
Now, we have glossed over for the last 60 seconds or so a key pick that you're likely looking at on your screen right now. Many viewers at home crying, coming out on the Blitz. Now, we don't see that all this often. There was a certain voice line, I believe, that was uttered between us, Ace, last time we saw a Blitz in action on a particular Oregon game. I can't imagine the train is pulling into the station in this game, but heaven knows, we'll see what the plan is. Given there are 3 all stashed up, it is absolutely going to be a Ninor level rush coming through, Ace, as they all stack up here on the study window, and this could be their big push in.
We can only
that swing from Aces.
Aces with a big starter onto Blur, but Doki, he's going to find Crying, and that's the blitz there's particularly important, but it doesn't stop Rogue. Prano's in, and he's planting inside of 45 seconds here. He has to make the challenge there, but still going strong. Prano's likely to get this down. Doki and Nate shut down as they try to get in there and do something about it. Secretly comes on the flank, and the whole first round is over in little over a minute, Des. This one could be fireworks.
I just want to raise again, because this ties so beautifully into what Jess, Fresh and Milos were speaking about on the desk. They were saying, Aces, that we know what he can do. We've seen that quality. The man has just jumped into Villa and killed 4 people. A 4K in the first round. A beautiful opening swing onto Blur as well on main stairs that really got things moving. Doki was able to respond and pick up the blitz, which did kind of kill the momentum of the attack, but in no time at all, Prano was in behind that vault door, going for a plant. Excellent peel off the plant to destroy the C4 that came in. Na'Vi just caught with their pants down there, and Rogue, well, really taking advantage to start things off. Great first round and a critical attacking round on Villa, of all things.
You can see why sometimes it's worth a roll of the dice. Nobody is expecting that rush, and you get away with it. But I would not expect them to get away with it again. It's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I wouldn't expect Na'Vi to fall foul of that. And I wouldn't really expect Rogue to try it again for that reason. They'll know that Na'Vi are going to be prepped and ready, more aware of it this time around. They're going to head down to kitchen and dining. Not much to really break down in that last round. As you say, it was all opened up by Aces to begin with, and Prano able to just get in there and get that diffuser down. It was just a very single-minded purpose from Rogue. I think the interesting thing particularly is that they did it without the blitz. Doki able to
straight away.
Doki able to take the man down immediately, Crying on the blitz, and had no impact on the outcome of the round though.
What I'm really kind of not so much frazzled by, but curious about is maybe a better word, is Rogue bringing in a lot of what you might describe as entries here. You're looking towards potentially the Jackal, the Twitch, the Yana, the Lion to support the aggression, the Nomad to cut down the flanks. There's no hard breach in that lineup. The only real clearance of walls that you're looking towards or gadget denial is going to be things like the Twitch coming out, and maybe a couple of frags that you might throw in from Aces at the same time. Either way, it's a very sharp, pointy, aggressive comp, but not one that you can rely on to get things like walls open, especially when your Jackal is being shut down in the early round. Doki striking first against his old rival in Leon Gids.
Na'Vi just getting themselves a slight advantage there. Saves doubling down, finds a headshot onto Aces. Prano just holding the angle into sight at the minute from the pantry, but he's not going to find anybody at the moment as Na'Vi are a little bit busy out in the map killing people. But as I say that, Prano does manage to find the headshot onto Doki, who strays around. Crying gets aggressive and goes into sight, and this is something that we don't always see enough of from Crying, but he is very, very capable at doing, is being aggressive, going in and getting those frags. Crying and Prano try to push together, but secretly he has their number. He finds the headshot, shuts one down, and leaves Prano all alone playing around the bomb chassis, looking to make challenges onto tight angles. He's got 3 in very different locations here, making his job very difficult. Nath with the final kill there, and Na'Vi managed to level things up in round 2.
Very, very stark contrast as well. 3 picked off in the early round by Na'Vi, with nothing coming back from Rogue. Just a constant sequence of 1v1s being taken, no real trade play coming through. I think it was more down to Rogue wanting to try and catch Na'Vi on the break. Not so much a rush like you saw in the prior round, but more looking towards the, let's get a flank on, let's catch someone out here. They won't expect all of us to be in different places, and well, you see exactly how that unfolded. With that one on the downstairs, though, kitchen and dining, the only successful site so far, we will return back to where things started in Aviator Games. And I'm again keen to see if Rogue do change things up at some point and look towards some hard breach. They teased it there with the ace, and then as quickly as they've flashed it, they've now taken it back away, and in its place stands the Nook. So going to be 4 frag grenades coming out for the side of Rogue. Let's see if they can stay alive long enough to make use of the mace.
As you say, trying AVG again. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what Rogue try this time around, because obviously we didn't really see their normal attack in round 1. They're not just going to push in through study window again and try to go route 1 into that plant spot. We will see something different from them. I would expect maybe a little bit of a north-sided presence this time, trying to get some control over Trophy, Statuary, Master. We can see that Na'Vi, they were ready and prepped to play there last time. Nath was over there on the Kaid. They had the utility set up in the same way, so they're obviously preparing for the potential for that push, with the attackers looking to get themselves established in 90, work onto Map's door, and maybe support that with an attack from Study.
Looks to be the master, and very common what you'll see in this. I mean, this meta has been around for a while now, so it's nothing brand new. You'll see Shaiko doing it a lot for BDS, but you're going to have the Iana player, in this case Aces, likely off doing his own thing down to the south. And when I say doing his own thing, I mean just killing Blur for free, apparently. This is going to be another one of those where he's worked his way inside a Study and found a freebie onto Vault Door, expertly pointed out by Medics. Thank you very much. That's one of those that you look at and just think, that's twice now that he's pushed inside a Study side and killed Blur, both rounds 1 and 3. Great start for Aces.
Earth just looking to challenge onto the window just outside a trophy there, but Leon just dips away in the nick of time. He's not going to lose his life to that one. The Jackal looking to get in underneath and try and pick up on any of those roamers. Footprints now saves, holding a tight angle through towards Masterclass. It gets caught out and shut down there as Crying goes big with a double, and that's going to leave us now in a 5 versus 2, and it just really seems to be the case so far, Des. Inside of these first 3 rounds, it's all or nothing for either team. They either come in with a big advantage or none at all, and this time it's in the favour of Rogue as they've got themselves a serious lead.
I think this is what makes Rogue a little bit dangerous. Like, look back to our first map of the day when we had, sorry, second map thinking about it, G2 versus Virtus Pro. It was very cautious, it was very timid, it was very, I don't really want to just swing for the sake of it, whereas Rogue are playing that sort of style. Like, Crying swinging out and getting a 2k, the lucky kill admittedly to start out for Aces. I don't think it was strictly intended to kill Blur and Vault, more the bullets that you put through a doorway in the hope that someone is standing on the other side that netted them a kill. But the last 3 rounds have all come down to aggression for Rogue, and sometimes it doesn't work out like we saw in round 2, but when it does, my God, does it look thunderous.
Secretly caught out underneath, and what a view we get of that as Aces shuts him down with the vertical nade. Doke, he's got it all to do now. 1 versus 5, he gets 1, but that will be all he gets as Leon steps in, gets the shot into the back and shuts the Scotsman down. That's going to be Rogue taking round 3, and they are 2-1 ahead.
I do want to point again, though, it's very independent operators for the most part. You had Aces on the south side, you had the Lion coming in from bedroom, you had the one with the nades downstairs there a second ago. It's, again, you look at it and think, oh, well, this isn't like perfect siege. It's not amazing team play. It's not coordinating efforts and burning through my magnets and ADSs from Jaeger, so on and so forth. It's just that raw firepower coming out of Rogue that is going to catch teams off guard, as it has already started doing. The Changeway, once again, they are still not committing to bringing along a hard breacher in this map. That's the crazy. If you said to most teams, we've got a strap, we're not going to run a hard breach on Villa, people will tell you you're crazy and to go back to playing in tier 4. That's the sort of comment you get. But they're making it work wonderfully so far by just swinging onto Na'Vi and catching them off guard. I want to see more of it. This makes an exciting game.
The thing is, if you think about those hard breaches, Des, you know, what were they used for? Don't please say hard breaching.
I was just I can think of a long list of it for this map.
Historically, it was to get into Master and open the triple wall up into Trophy Statuary. It was to get into Study and open the wall up into Aviator Games. And it is still occasionally used like that. But how often do we see that successfully done? And how often now do we see that as a successful plant attempt, as a successful round-winning attempt? It's not as crucial as it used to be. We see a lot more play coming in through the single doors, onto maps, through the 90 corridor door, for example, in Aviator games. We see teams just pushing through Study straight through the door, and it is less and less used. So no surprise to see them just opting to go without and bring along alternative utility. The Blitz as perfect example, in again for Crying.
This will be the big one because there is so often a massive war over this, and tools like, you know, the Jackal to deal with the roamers, the Blitz to go charging through, the Lion for the scans to make sure no one can move, for example. It's almost like a reliance on drone work to identify where people are, leave them rooted in place with the Lion, or just run at them with the Blitz, and instead just say, okay, well look, running through a single doorway, very risky, but we can make it work because we've got the committal to going hyper-aggressive and everyone's on the same page. So it's a different style to what we used to, but I don't hate it, that's for sure. Here they go potentially with a rush looking in towards the Astro stairs. You've got Crying playing off towards the bottom, and sure enough, it's popped out. And here he goes, flashing in case there was someone to his right, but saves, has coined from above there, not watching the verticals, and this is where that aggressive play can come back to sting a bit.
This is it, Rogue very clearly trying to play right up in the face of Na'Vi here. They're not allowing them any time to breathe or speak. They're just wanting to to over and over again aggress onto them, push them, and not let them settle. And it's working at the minute. Leon getting a double kill there, and once again, Rogue 4 versus 2, and get themselves a nice advantage here. Nath is going to dip back into sight. It's down to him and Blur, and they've both been having a difficult day so far. We're only 4 rounds in, but 1 kill between the two of them, and so far this is looking good for Rogue. Still 1 minute 30 left to go.
Just look at where they are, though. You've got one pushing Astro, one Master, one coming Wolf Window.
Everywhere. They're all over them.
It's multi-attack. It's not really playing as the team again, like I mentioned. It's about pushing in as individuals and just fragging your brains out. And it's worked because Leon got 2 from Astro. Aces has now somehow snaked his way in and found Blur in the backside. He is well and truly his rival in this game. He can do nothing about it. Prano's getting the plant down. Nace in a 1 versus 4. And Rogue, with this lightning quick aggression, are just completely catching Na'Vi off guard.
It is exactly that. There's lightning warfare coming in here from Rogue, and they're just not allowing Navi any time to settle into this game. And so far, it really is working. As you can see, they're just absolutely careening away with things. And let's not forget, they're on the attack here, which Villa it's levelled out more recently, but historically we would have expected the defenders to at least be more competitive than Na'Vi have been so far. I think that's the key point here is, that they're really struggling to even get themselves into the late round. Look at Aces there, 7-1, absolutely flying at the minute. Leon, if you count him in there, 12-2 between the two of them. That's 12-2 inside of 4 rounds.
Strong work being done. I mean, the 4K for Aces back in round 1 going to do a lot towards getting you on that journey towards the top of the scoreboard. And more work to do on the other side. Blur, I mentioned, he's now been taken out, 3 times by Aces? That one wasn't so much the entry in that round because it was Crying that went down, but it's been the 3rd time in a row where he has lost a 1 versus 1 against Aces, and that one wasn't really a 1v1 because he wasn't even looking at Aces when he stepped inside of Astro. But for Na'Vi, you've also got to ask questions, where Leon was playing on Astro Window and got 2 kills. Why are 2 of you peeking him in quick succession and not enough that you can potentially make it into a trade play? Now, whether the timing was slightly off or Leon has just got the wrist of a god, I'm not quite sure, but he brought down 2 and that really swung the round, because otherwise, Na'Vi had found that entry onto Crying. They'd taken out the momentum of the attack and rush coming out of the side of Rogue. But those 2 kills coming through, it completely flipped the script back against Na'Vi. Really need to see them get a bit of composure here and just hold things down, have a response to these rushes. You know how Rogue want to play. Now you need to show that you can deal with it.
And this is what I like out of Rogue today. This is what I'm impressed with, Des, is that when Plan A is getting shut down and the Blitz has been killed within the first 30 seconds to a minute, both times they've brought the Blitz along, they still have the answers. Very nearly a freebie onto Doki once again. He's having a tough game. He's really being hassled by Rogue here, and that game plan is absolutely working. But as I was saying, to finish what I was saying, Rogue, just even when Plan A gets shut down very quickly, they've got a very quick adaptation. They don't worry about it. They don't let it beat them. They just carry on with what they're doing and get the kills. The confidence is up.
This is why I think in some games you watch Rogue and you just see chaos and just think, what the bloody hell is this team doing? Like, they're not playing like a team would play it. They're just kind of, slamming their head against the wall 100 times and praying they don't die from a concussion off the back of it, right? And in this spot, looking at it, it's just being far more successful. They're winning those crucial gunfights they need to. This round a little bit slower and more, I don't want to say peaceful, but it does kind of feel that way. We're about 75 seconds in and no one's died. Doki almost went down, of course, but outside of that, there hasn't really been any massive wanton aggression coming out of the side of Rogue.
Crying just sending a nade in there, not going to do any damage as it stands. May have cleared a bit of utility if there was any knocking about in the area, but I'm not sure that was really the aim. It looks like we've just got Aces trying to push through living room now, looking for angles on anybody. Rogue still seeking this opening kill. More utility going to be used. He knows that the man is there. Nate, he does bite the dust this time, and it's Aces with another kill to his name and another opener at that. And that is going to leave us now 4 versus 2 as the kills once again, Des, come flying in. Every time they get an entry kill, it's like it breaks the seal on the round and it just rains in one after another.
Well, you got Crying also trying to push it now. He's got himself inside a mausoleum, I think, which has forced Blur to start Memorial dropping his way down, and there we go. A 2K coming in for the knock. Knock. Guess who it is? It's Crying. Finding himself the 2 in the round, a 3 versus 1. We've been here a fair few times before. Blur's going to do what he can coming up through Pantry. Leon is watching and waiting for him to step around this corner, and it'll be an easy close down for that one, surely. Misses the head on the other side. Smoke comes out, and now be the next challenger stepping in. It should be Crying, who's got the closer angle here. Doesn't find it, but Crying gets the trade. Not today, Blur, he says. Another round to Rogue.
I mean, Blur did well to get the 1 there. He did well challenging onto Leon. He found himself 1, but they knew where he was coming from. He had to knock the barricade down just to get out of Pantry, and as soon as that was the case, it was going to be easy street for Rogue to shut that down in a 3v1. Every gun trained in that direction. So coming into round 6, and this one is absolutely, I think the best way to describe this game, Des, it is careening away from us at a breakneck pace here. There is absolutely nothing Na'Vi can do to slam the brakes on this one. Rogue, they're just looking like a different beast today.
And I like how they're constantly keeping the side of Na'Vi guessing as well, right? Like, you saw the Monty being hovered there. It's like, he's now played 3 different operators in this half. Is this going to be the 4th that he's going to bring out to completely shake up the style? Of course not. He'll go back onto the knot because they like that fast-paced aggression. They want the frag grenades, for example. All those wonderful things that have been causing Na'Vi a real headache in this first half. And although we don't like to get too excited off the back of first half of things, this is a Villa attack, let's not forget. If it was like a 4-1 to the defenders and it ended 5-1, 4-2, you wouldn't feel too bad about it. But from the teams we've seen struggling on attack so far today, this is pretty special coming out of Rogue.
It's looking good at the moment. They're certainly looking clinical, and you know, this is, as we say, Na'Vi have been at times one of the better. I hasten not to use the word best because I think we've had some very competitive sides inside of EUL Stage 3 so far, and I wouldn't like to start naming best teams just yet, but they've been one of the better teams that we've seen so far, that much is for sure. So, you know, especially when they've given us their best performances. But today, they are just being absolutely pinned down. There is just nothing that they can do. There is no answer that they can give at the minute, and I don't think that's so much down to Na'Vi necessarily as it is to Rogue's aggression and the ability within the gunfights that they're displaying today. They're going in there and winning them.
Oh, look at this. Absolute freebie. That's the kind of thing that Ace would throw on the timeline if he was in this game, but it's Aces finding Blur yet again. That's been the 4th time in this half that he has had Blur's number, 3 of them coming in the entry. It is not pretty. Aces is their worst nightmare now for the side of Na'Vi.
Blur's got to be getting frustrated at this point because there's very little that he can do. He's not seeing the end of a lot of rounds. Saves, getting in and getting a kill, but traded out again. Prano with a big double there onto Secretly and Nath. And this is the thing, as I said, Des, no matter what happens within these rounds, Rogue always seem to have the answer. Doke is in a bit of a later round situation. I say later round based on numbers, not based on time. We're only a minute in, but it feels like we are coming towards the end, given the pressure that's being applied and the numbers that are left. And Doki is one of them players that we know he can do these. He can turn these situations around on the head, but this whole performance from Na'Vi is going to need something special.
You know what I love in a way? Like, these rounds feel so fast, and that's because they are. Because think about what consumes 2 minutes of a round normally. It's soft breach, it's hard breach, it's removing wall denial. It's all these things that build up together that really slow a team down. Rogue aren't worrying about any of that. They're just charging in. Forget about your gadgets. Forget about your reinforced walls. We're coming for you. Forget about everything else you've worked on in the round. Now we're in the 2 versus 2, and this is where Rogue might run out of steam ever so slightly. But Cryan maybe off in the flank down here, holding out towards Living, moving towards Library. He can come main stairs and give a little bit of support to Prano, and Doki might get the swing on here as well. Surely. If I say surely he sees the man, he must know, but he didn't. The ADS, holographics, a little bit too fat stacked apparently. Prano with a 3k into the round, saves in a 1 versus 2, and I feel like I've said that every single round so far this game. Ex-Na'Vi player is in a 1vx.
I mean, it's not often that you see such crucial information lost in somebody's sights. We've seen it twice today. We saw it with Citizen, if you remember, the drone on Cafe, just underneath the door. He didn't manage to see that, and then Doke not picking up on Prano inside of Study there. Now, 2 versus 1. Rogue using the time well here, not rushing anything.
C4.
Happy to take the time. Saves does have the C4, but Cryan, he's waiting for it. He's ready. It comes out. It will not be successful, Des. They managed to get the diffuser down, and Saves, he now needs to find kills. He's going up against 2, and they're just going to sit back here. There's no way that they pressure this. They know he's got to play onto the diffuser, and they're just going to let him try.
So non-erratic as well. They were so cautious about where they planted. They came off the plant and repositioned themselves. It was beautiful from Rogue. The spray down comes in, finds one, but doesn't know about the man on his backside. It's Cryan from Study. And my God, is that a closed out half of Rogue? 5-1 on the attack of Villa. No one in the world had that down on their bingo cards today.
It's not just closed out, Des. It's quick. We are 6 rounds in already. It feels like we've barely sat down to this one.
Honestly, it's... This is the weird thing about EU sometimes, is you look at this, and I think, although you said you don't want to call them the best team, really, Na'Vi, BDS, Empire have been our 3 strongest teams so far this year. G2 arguably near there, but I wouldn't put them in the top 3. Rogue have been struggling down towards the bottom. They had a brilliant stage 1, fell off massively in stage 2, and we thought, oh no, it's not happening again, surely. And this stage hasn't been the best for them, you'd wager, but with how things are going, they're about to jump over Na'Vi, as you can see in the top right corner of your screen. If Rogue close out this game on the defense, they jump to 3rd, and Na'Vi, they fall down to 4th. What a storyline and what a world we're in.
This is what I absolutely love about EUL. I've been saying it for the last 18 months, 2 years. You look at the regions and everybody has their strengths. And I look at EUL and I just think we have got the most depth of any region in the world. When you look at the competitiveness between these teams and how close they often are, it is one of the most difficult leagues to predict, because you get results like this where Rogue come in, and they're all of a sudden up to 3rd in stage 3. This is a team that could potentially be fighting relegation still. But if they keep playing like this, Des, I tell you now, they're going to be nowhere near the bottom of the table.
No, and that's a beautiful thing for them. And the thing is, all the other teams around them, think of Heroic, Secret, who of course lost earlier on today, Heroic playing the last game. They were looking at this and thinking, oh, that's 3 points that Rogue won't get. How wrong you are. And you start worrying also for Virtus Pro, we mentioned earlier on.
Pulled into it.
They did win.
They had a good win today. They needed that.
So the situation only gets more and more dire for Heroic and Secret. I wonder at what point we start talking about who's the one getting auto-relegated and who gets their chance against the winner of Challenger League. Either way, all I know is going to make one spicy end to a season. Let's see how round 7 plays out, because 45 seconds in, as you'd expect, it's been a much slower, more composed start. What?
That shouldn't be allowed.
How? I can't... Please stop.
Manages to get the kill on the drop of the hatch there, Aces. Does get traded out for it, but it is the sledge that is gone, so a little bit of utility lost along with him, you would expect as well. 2 of those nades. There's only 2 left on the side of Doki now. He's trying to push himself in underneath. Might try to find some vertical angles for those explosives, something that we saw Rogue do very well. I mean, that list could go on and on, Des, at the minute, the things that we've seen Rogue do well so far, but as it stands, they've still got Prano to deal with on a clash as well, which is not going to be easy considering the utility that they've got left. Those nades could have been particularly useful for that.
I'm not even playing the game and I'm rattled by Aces and what he's doing in this game. The man's now sat at 5-0 on the entry. He is destroying everyone in every gunfight he comes against. Blur 3 times, Nath twice now. Oh, and I mean, dropping through a hatch, you shouldn't be able to get away with that. You see his legs long before he sees you, and still walks away with it. And look at what Rogue have got to play with. That clash is onside. They've got 3 in the back pocket for the smoke to go tossing those out. The Thunderbird's got the C4 onside. There is still so much for them to play behind here. And Na'Vi, like most other teams in the world, are being really slow and patient about this. Whereas Rogue are saying, no, pace, action. We want that hype. It's how we're going to win this game out.
Everything has slowed down a little bit here as Na'Vi are looking to just get control of that north side, but Prano is still pushing it. He's still aggressing up here. He's not letting them settle, and out comes the air jab from Blur just to prevent that happening. He's going to have to dip back into sight, which is exactly what he does. They're trying to open up the vault here, but the mute jammer is still causing problems. Doki in with the nade to prevent that now, and that will open things up, but out goes the impact trick and clears off the Selmas. There's 20 seconds left, Des, and whether the vault is getting opened up or not, this is going to be very difficult. More air jabs are put out there to try and prevent Prano pushing forward, but easily cleared off there. 9 seconds left to go. Blur's in and getting the diffuser down, and in comes the kills from Na'Vi, but they are even 3-3. Out comes the C4, but not in time. There's a fraction of a second allows the diffuser to go down. It's all up to Doki, but there's a clash on board as well. Surely not possible. He manages to find 1 headshot.
No
Can he find
way.
a second? It's 1v1 with the clash. It's Prano versus Doki. It's Prano who finds the kill.
Trade, I think it was at the very end, is the way that worked out, I think. Yeah, it was a trade
But with
to
the
end things
diffuser
out.
down, that is going to give the win to Na'Vi.
Look at that. Microseconds to that diffuser. I'd love to see how much time was
There
left
was a
on that.
lot of microseconds that were deciding that. There was the diffuser going down. There was the trade kill at the end. Unbelievable. Unbelievable scenes.
Someone please get the screenshot, send it me on Twitter. I want to see how close that was, or we'll see it on a replay actually now I think about it. Normally, we do have those people backstage who are pretty good at that sort of thing, so we'll get to see it in a minute, I'm sure. But my God, what a round. Like, the fact that Doki manages to bring that back in a 1 versus 3 with a clash bearing down on you, 2 players coming from different directions, and you still win it out.
In what world do you win that? 1 versus 3 with a clash on the board.
Apparently in the world where you were born into a small Scottish lad's body.
Unbelievable from Doki. One of those magic moments that Na'Vi seriously needed. Now, here comes the replay. Blur is planting as it stands. Out goes the Nitro.
Oh my
we are
God!
talking absolute fractions.
0.0, that was a... No way!
We are talking absolute fractions after that diffuser was confirmed. The kill goes down. That is absolutely unreal. But then the trade at the end, but with the diffuser down, it is all she wrote. I don't even know what I'm seeing here, Des. This is unbelievable stuff.
What a game! This is...
This is like somebody just got the entertainment level of EUL and just cranked it up to 11.
I said rat up, now I'm fried. We're going from a point where it's just feeling a little bit shaken to now being fried in the pan. It's whatever. Let's focus on round number 8. And there's going to be more madness waiting for us in future rounds, I'm sure, if this game has been anything to go by so far. Amazing round. Can't wait to look back at it later on as well. Let's see what else Rogue have got in store for us on this defensive round. A much more normal defense coming out, dare we say, coming here. 2 shields coming through, a couple of C4s, Mute and Mozzie on board, the ADSs, and in comes Doki doing exactly what Rogue did to him back in the first half. Kills 1, doesn't know about the man at the top of landing. It's Leon to get the trade coming through. Still a good little push in, a nice bit of aggression. Now the question is what are going to do on the other side. Apparently it's pushed back in again because secretly he's stepped into where Doki's grave once stood and has found himself another. Plants going down, the 4 versus 3. Secretly is dangerously low, mind you. It's only going to take a breath of air coming out of the side of Rogue for him to fall over. So much so that he's nervous about going for the plant. But Saves has now gone for the Rogue approach as well. Wanton aggression is the name of the game for Na'Vi. And again, we are only 60 seconds in and there's a plant going down in a 1 versus 3. Aces with it all to do. Narrowly misses out onto Blur. Would have been the 5th or 6th time that he's killed him in this game, but dies from bathroom. Na'Vi saying, what you can do, Rogue, we can do it as well.
Na'Vi certainly coming out and fighting fire with fire here on Villa and just coming in and, as you say, playing it in exactly the same manner. And right now, this entire game is going to come down to who can find successful defences, Des, because Na'Vi, they were only able to find 1, but right now, flip the sides and Rogue have been able to lock a round down as of yet out of their first 2 defences. And the first one, round 7, it went to the wire. Round 8, less so. And the problem that Rogue have got now is that Na'Vi really start to feel like they're waking up here. Doki going in, getting that aggressive opening pick, and onto Prano the smoke. It's a big first kill. It's worth giving up that entry life for. And they just were able to go in and continually apply that pressure. And that is what Rogue did so well in the first half. This is a great game to watch.
I think production have got a typo on the screen, by the way. It says tactical timeout. This is Des timeout. I need the room to breathe for 60 seconds, Ace. Because these rounds, like, literally are lasting about 60 to 75 seconds, and then they're done. It is lightning quick siege. It is very entertaining, but very different to what we're used to seeing out of these teams.
Oh, it's absolute breakneck speed. It's like one of them roller coasters, you know, that have got like the fast launchers that go from like 0 to 60 in about 2.5 seconds. I feel like we should be strapped in for this, Des. Nobody's come and checked my buckle, Des.
I'm going to have to send me to the doctor for whiplash after this one. That's the way it's going. Let's see how this plays out, though. The clash did get hovered back in, changed back out for the Kaid here. 5-3, though. Given we were coming out of the half at 5-1 and we thought, wow, Rogue could actually do this now going on the defensive side, we're seeing that total flip around where it turns out Villa, not so defender-sided.
Certainly not today. Now then, Rogue, they're going to head back to Aviator Games as well. It is their round 7 site. It was close. Na'Vi able to get the diffuser down, but it all came down to a 1 versus 3, and Rogue will feel like if they had that time over again that they would be able to win that round. Of that I'm certain. It's not every day that you get a successful 1v3 clutch coming up against the clash in that 3 as well, but Doki was somehow able to work his magic and get it done, finding himself some serious kills. Now then, round number 9, it's going to be back to Aviator Games again. Nothing drastically unusual on the lineup. We have had Rogue playing the Thunderbird quite a lot, becoming more and more popular, obviously bringing the corner stations along, able to heal up defenders and attackers alike. We must remind everybody of that. It's not just your own team that you can heal. You do need to be careful to make sure that you remain in control of the areas where those corner stations are placed, because otherwise the attackers can benefit from that as well. And now then, that's a cheeky electrical, isn't it?
I like it.
I like that one.
Nicking that one for rank, that's for sure.
Oh, you'll be seeing that over and over in rank now.
I mean, no Twitch, of course, on the side for Na'Vi might make it a little harder to deal with. You can't just roll frag grenades, for example, over the top or through the drone hole. It's simply not going to collect it, so it's going to come down to the intel gathering on the side of Na'Vi. And again, they're aimed pretty fast here and looking to challenge. Rogue, smartly so, opting to back away. Leon instead opted to bring out the C4. Knows there's a man hovering up towards Statue. It was Blur out on Wolf window. But of course, not being inside, he will be completely unaffected by the explosive.
Doki moving through Statuary, getting aggressive towards site already, and I absolutely love what Na'Vi are doing. It is just showing Rogue a mirror. It is, you know, if this works well against us, it can work well for us. And they're just applying the exact same mentality of getting in there aggressively and taking the fights. Now, Leon has taken a little bit of damage in the early round, but nothing too terrible. Dropped himself underneath. We will see where he reappears. He's back up in study now, so he's going to hold the angle onto Map's door for the time being. That's big from Aces.
Another
He just pops around that vault corner with the shotgun, and there must have been a bit of information there for him because he just pre-fires the angle and absolutely smashes Doki off his feet.
The thing is, he is so well renowned on Clubhouse for swinging out from red onto the CC breach with an SMG and spraying someone out on spawn. It's what Aces just does. It's his thing. And here you're going to see him swinging aggressive angles like that because he knows that he can win them. And this is what we spoke about earlier on, by the way. This wall is staying closed. They've still got the electric claw down. They have no idea where it is on the side of Na'Vi and should understand now that wall is staying closed. It is not going to get opened up.
Absolutely not, and it's going to be difficult for Na'Vi from here. 5 versus 4, 55 seconds left to go, and they're going to be funneled in through single doors. That's the problem, and on the other side of that single door is Aces with the shotgun, and they've already seen exactly what happens there. And he's backed up by Leon, who is still inside a study now. Aces just being very careful. He's trying to predict when the next push will come, when his next aggression needs to spring forward secretly, and Leon, a little bit of a dance of death there, and it's secretly who comes out on top, finding the spray down. Aces still doing everything he can to hold them out of maps. He's got the support of the smoke canisters as well, and this is a matter of time until Na'Vi come in and try to get this down, and there we go. It's 3 versus 3. Nitro unsuccessful. Smoke canister is a little bit short of the plant spot. 2 versus 2. Diffuser down on the ground though, and Rogue somehow they're holding on. Des need to get this picked up. Blur does that and tries to stick it. It's all up to saves on the cover. Smoke canister's going to just stop him seeing. He gets Kaid. He knows the second's coming from study. The push will not come. Rips, he's going to take a step back and just try to think his way through this.
He wins these. We've already seen him clutch out a couple of times in the last fortnight. Well, not fortnight. Yeah, actually in the fortnight. Last fortnight, so he's clutched out a couple of times, but Say is going to say, not today, not against us. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Na'Vi have won 3 attacking rounds in a row, and suddenly the game's 5 and 4. What a world we're in.
It's going absolutely crazy at the minute, that much is for sure. And what a game of Siege we are witnessing. One more round, just one more round, and Na'Vi will have themselves leveled up. Now, I don't want to say it'd be strange to see again, Des. I don't want to bring this up, but G2 were 5-1 up at the half. Virtus Pro managed to run it all the way back into 7-5 in the very last game. Surely we couldn't be about to... I don't know what the odds would be on that exact same thing happening again back to back, but I'm guessing they got to be pretty big.
The worst thing is, for Cafe, you know, a map that's always been relatively balanced when you look at attack defense win rates, it was super heavily defender-sided. And then you look at how Villa's gone, which has always been heralded as one of those defender-sided maps that people hate going to. A lot of teams banning it away for that being one of the big reasons. Here, super attacker-sided. It's such a contrast between the two games, yet like you say, similar scorelines starting to take place. Oof. I'm all in for a good day of EU entertainment. We said this on the desk of the first game, actually. We were like, oh, you just hope that today brings some interesting games. And it's all we've had from start through to not quite finished. Still got one more to go yet. Heroic Vitality last game. That was the one that I had coined as the spicy game of the day, but hey, I'll take this one as well.
The thing is, coming into that matchup at the beginning of the season, you might have looked at it and said, oh, Heroic are struggling, Vitality should win that. But then, given what we've seen so far in Stage 3, it really is one of them that is so difficult to predict. And I know it has us here, in Paris, split between who we think will win now. Crying, just getting out there, looking to capture himself a draw and get a bit of information. We're going to be downstairs this time, round 10. It's going to be Rogue trying to defend kitchen and dining, and they need to find themselves something soon, Des, because Na'Vi are starting to get a real head of steam behind them, and despite Rogue's best efforts and Aces in the last round, for example, managing to get that opening kill. They just haven't been able to get dividends out of that and to really double down and get the rounds. And Aces right now, once again, right up in the face of Na'Vi at that point of ingress.
I mean, Rip's kicking himself, he didn't get rid of that one. It's Doki to find Aces, and for the first time, Doki has prevailed over Aces, the Terror of Villa. It's probably what he needs to rename into for now, given how many entries he's found up to this point. But they have removed the big man on the side with 12 kills to his name now off the board. The attention turns onto Leon and Cryin, the ones that need to be doing the work for them. I'm just worried that for Rogue, they're playing this a little bit too passively at points and just saying, look, we aren't getting out aggressively, we aren't getting out on the roam, we aren't greeting you on the entry into the map. They've kind of dropped off from the aggressive nature we saw on their attacks back in the first half. On the defensive side, it is a bit more passive. With things like the Clash, it did really slow Na'Vi down, and that worked well. But the last 3 rounds, nothing has really gone to their side.
Doki looking to move down the Astro stairs now, so at 1 minute 30, Na'Vi reasonably happy, I think, that they've got that top floor control and looking to start putting some pressure onto site. Out comes the first sledge battering ram going through the ceiling there. The Nitro will follow, but unsuccessfully, as Nathan long since moved away to look at opening up another angle. Now then, we've got 2 more Nitros coming out. One of them will connect, this time onto the sledge. Does manage to find it, but Doki, he's crept his way in towards site without being noticed and picks up an absolute freebie for himself.
It's a beautiful start, doing much of what we saw from Rogue in the first half, now correlating very comfortably for Na'Vi. That kind of push in and kill works great. You've got Cryin holding off towards the backside, mind you, and I think he's waiting for Doki to peek on the door again. It's simply not going to happen, as the Scotsman has backed away up to the top floor here to remove that mute jammer to enable him either to get the Geminis in or to start pushing those drones forward. But look at this. They don't know that Cryin is here. He could play massive spoiler to Doki here and maybe find Rogue that round they sorely need.
I think it's great discipline from Rogue to hold Cryin back and not have him push forward and aggress just yet. He's just going to hold his angle. He knows Doki's there, and it's as easy as 1, 2, 3 as he finds the kill into the back. Leon steps around with the shotgun, and Rogue, they finally managed to get that defense that they so sorely needed. It puts them onto match point, and it might just give them that momentum break that they needed to just slow Na'Vi down and have an opportunity to finish that one off. Maybe the confidence comes back for these top floor sites as they head back to Aviator Games.
I want to see that Clash come out again. It worked so well for you back in round 7. Like, why not go for it? Kai going to be what Prano starts on? Does he 6-pick away is going to be the big question. If not, you know exactly what he's going to focus on. It's going to be electrifying that single wall that did give Na'Vi something to think about. He's going to stick it. So by the looks of it, you'll see them sitting behind those C4s and saying, look, you want to go and play in for those plants? You do just that. We know what you're going to do. You've already done it once before. We can deal with it. It's a lot of confidence being shown. And Leon's actually dropping away from the Thunderbird in this half for the second time. Last round he was on the mute, and here it's across onto the Ella.
Doki on 12 kills so far today, really doing everything he can to take the game by the scruff of the neck and keep his side in it. And he's had some support across his team as well, but it just really feels like now for Na'Vi there's no more mistakes left, and it's time for one of those hero moments. They need somebody to step up in this round and just go nuclear, Des. They need someone to come in with a big 3k, 4k early in the round to just open things up and settle things down on their side of the table, because Rogue, I think they're going to be feeling reasonably confident they can get this done. As you said, they were close back in round 7. They had a really good attempt at it, and now that they've got that match point, they've stopped that run from Na'Vi. Maybe it just breaks their spirit a little bit.
They've got a couple of cheeky little electro claws coming out, actually. The other one, as we saw, going into holding up the single wall that leads down into study. Anything to slow Na'Vi down, because you've seen when they couldn't get rid of the walls, when the toss nades over and electro claws have not disappeared, they've been in a position to say, well, now we've got to go and push through a single doorway, which, as we know, is incredibly risky when you're kind of taking a Hail Mary on. Can we get through this doorway that could easily be contested from multiple angles all at the same time? Doki's in on the downstairs. You've got a couple of players from Rogue holding up towards the north side as well, towards Trophy. But as it stands right now, Na'Vi want nothing to do with it. All of their focus is going to be on site, and Leon, down from below by the nade coming in, going to crawl his way in towards Volt and should get himself picked back up.
It's not the ideal start for Rogue, though. Inside of 45 seconds, Leon will be at best down to 20 HP as he does get himself picked up. Will live to continue fighting. Gonna go straight back out there and see if he can make a nuisance of himself, this time in 90 corridor. But Doki just holding the angle onto main stairs for the time being. Rip's looking to make the challenge there, but he will just hold himself back. He's not going to get overly aggressive because he doesn't need to. He's just trying to burn time here and prevent that push up towards Study as Doki clears out that barbed wire. It's the signal, but Rips, he jumps up to challenge the drone and just gets baited into Doki's ADS there with a perfect opportunity for him to shut the man down. So you've now got Leon on low health, you're 5 versus 4, and all of a sudden it looks like Na'Vi might just be able to gather some momentum again.
Might be the first time I've seen him use the Gemini in this game, and here comes the not really the frag, but the trade following up for Doki. Finds one for himself onto Prano before being traded back. Rogue are just throwing bodies at the main stairs. They've thrown 3 there so far. Found themselves 1 kill back in response. It's something, and Nath is on a slither of HP. It could have gone so much more wrong for the side of Na'Vi. A 4 versus 3, still looking to push their way up main stairs. This is going to come so much down to Leon right now. With that shotgun in hand, he connects these 2 kills. It should be it for Rogue.
Secretly manages to find the first, looking to push through onto the bar side. Crying, just holding himself deep in sight, but the pressure is going to mount severely now for Rogue as we hear those Selma devices just opening up lines of sight as well. Things are going to get more and more difficult for Aces and Crying, and they're just holding Des. They're in the eye of the storm at the minute. They know the tornado's coming, but will they be able to make it out of the other side? Well, we know that Crying won't. Aces takes the peak, does manage to find shots, but takes damage at the same side. Na'Vi need to think about getting the diffuser down whilst they've got the advantage with them. Out comes the Nitro, and there's the final kill. Blur managing to find the angle, and that will bring us to 6-5, and we're going all the way to 12.
What is this game? What? Just from the 5-1 at the half to get back to this point where we're potentially going through to overtime is ludicrous. And most teams would relish the thought of going into defense on Villa in overtime. I imagine both of them are not feeling so hot about that prospect right now. It has been, by the looks of things, 5 rounds for the attackers in either half. The last defense is going to be in trophy and statuary for Rogue. They've got to do something different here because Na'Vi are just finding when they're given time and given a bit of room, they can just pick off these odd members of Rogue, get themselves set up, and then look to go for the big push in that wins them the round.
So this could be the last round here between Rogue and Na'Vi. It could not. With the way things have gone so far, it is anybody's guess realistically. Na'Vi so far 4-1 on their attacking half. We'll need 1 more round. They need to match the 5-1 that Rogue were able to put down in the first half if they want to get this into overtime. So far, aggression has been a key for Na'Vi, just as it was for Rogue. Getting in there, getting entry kills, following men in behind them, and just picking Rogue apart as they are placed under pressure. Rogue, they've managed to win one site, but it was kitchen and dining downstairs. They are yet to win on the top floor, and they're going to be trying again here in round 12, and this one is for all the marbles.
Well, the vast majority of them, unless we find ourselves going all the way through to 13, 14, and maybe even 15. A couple out on the roam here, the Legion and the Malusi, off down towards the south side of the map. I mentioned about this aggression from Rogue that we saw it in the first half on the attack, but haven't really seen too much of it on the defense. I'm glad to see that they are being willing now to get out in the map and try and cause a bit of trouble. Blur going to be the challenger that steps in for the south side of the map, and there is a man holding downstairs who might be able to challenge if he dares step his way forwards. But I'm sure like a smart little cookie, he'll be back on that drone or will have some support before he just goes charging his way forwards.
But just opening up a small hole in the bottom of the barricade there. I didn't know if he was potentially going to look to maybe crawl his way through and just get inside of the map silently, maybe looking for that opportunity at some point. Sees the barricade just being punched out, but not going to expose himself just yet, Aces. He's playing this pretty smart on the Legion, just trying to gather their attention, and then he's going to dip away from that fight. Certainly doesn't really want to be challenging into a free kill, that much is for sure, but he's barricading himself into AVG, and he's going to be holding down that south side. Nobody's going in there without killing Aces.
Nah, the thing is they'll know he's in there because of the side he's barricaded it on as well, that it wasn't done from the other side. They'll know that he's still playing on the south, so has to rotate his way back through. Blur, for the most part, has ignored him and is instead opted to try and play immediately from below. First EE1D scan coming out at that 75-second mark as they've got a couple pushing their way forwards. Cryan's down in the basement actually as well. I hope to God they've got some idea this is going on, else they could lose 2 to him.
I think they're going to, as Cryan looks, he pops up out of the pantry. They don't know that he's there. There's absolutely no way. Doki shut down with a headshot. Cryan, he's going to disappear back into the bowels once again. He's done his job. He's got his kill. He's opened things up for Rogue here. That is an advantage for them. Ace has just joining Crying now down on those lower floors to try and have another impact. Blur's down there, he's all alone on the Lion, and he's got some work to do now. Out comes the E1D scan. If they can't get a handle on Aces and Crying, it's almost certainly going to signal the end for them, and that certainly looks like what it could be here coming into the final minute.
Decided to push their way through, then they know they've got a little bit more control here on the side of Rogues. They've just got to be patient. They know there are 2 or 3 players hanging out towards Master because they've triggered the alibi decoy that wasn't destroyed on the cubby window a couple of times. Drones are coming through, but you know you're coming up against 5 players still alive on the other side. There's 2 C4s in back pocket. Surely at least one of those connects, and I think if you're on the side of Na'Vi here, you're starting to feel nervous. 40 seconds remain. They're preparing themselves for any kind of push up red stairs with a couple of goo mines down there as well. It all feels like advantage to Rogue, but you never know what Na'Vi can pull off.
You don't. They are a team that we know have got the capability, secretly just holding the angle from Master. The problem that Na'Vi have got right now is that Rogue are able to sit back. There's 5 versus 3. They don't need to push or peek anything here. It's all up to Na'Vi to make this happen. They've got themselves access into sight, but Prano's going to find himself access onto secretly. As Aces gets nathed, it's all down to Saves. Low health now as well. 1 bullet away, 9 seconds to go. This race is run as Saves has to push into sight and try and do something, but he's going to be shut down. It's Rips who ultimately finds the man, and that is going to be a big win for Rogue. They come in and take the full 3 points from Na'Vi.
Unbelievable and huge in the relegation fight for Rogue as well, who we were concerned might find themselves pulled down, especially as Secret and Heroic can start getting some points on board. But 3 points against one of the big 3 teams that we have got here in EUL. Momentous performance, and I've got to give a shout out to Aces. We spoke about him a lot in the game. Look at the 14 kills all you like. For me, it was the 5 or 6 entries in a row. Yeah. He is going to have a massive target on his back for Na'Vi in future because he has just taught them a new one.
It was how casual some of those entries were as well. It was just one of those days for Aces. The 2 I'm thinking of were Doki shotgun on the vault door and the dropped hatch onto Nath. Just 2 casual kills there, and it was beautiful to see from Aces. He was the difference today, or at least a big part of it.
And Valiant almost fight back from Na'Vi, but unfortunately for them, not entirely. Rogue with 3 huge points on the board for their fight against relegation. Can't wait to see what they do in future weeks. For now, let's jump to a break, and when we come back, the analysts will break this one down for you.